From the 915 to H-Town, from the Panhandle Plains to the Valley, and everywhere in between, this is the 50/50 Podcast, powered by the 50/50 Podcast Network. Join me, Hector Cano, as we cover the Texas high school club and college soccer landscape, along with an inside look at the college soccer recruiting scene. The 50/50 Podcast is a platform about the people and for the people who are dedicated to the beautiful game. Here we go. It's another edition of Inside Texas High School Soccer, Episode 2, Season 5, Episode 2. I am your host, Coach Hector Cano. I am joined by my lovely co-host, as I love to introduce him, the one and only Obi-Wan. Oh, man, that rhymes. The one and only Obi-Wan Kenobi of Texas High School Soccer. He is Coach Rafa Castorena. Rafa, how are you, buddy?
Pretty good. How are you today?
Good, man. Doing good. How's what's new? How's I know you've been out and about. You've been almost as busy as me. So tell us a little bit of before you tell us what you've been up to beyond just the last 24 hours. Tell us what you where were you at yesterday and what you got going on.
So yeah, yesterday I was at a couple games just to kind of kick off as far as the scrimmages. 2 exciting games for boys and girls. Went to see Harlan versus Southwest girls, and then afterwards a little a possible maybe regional final, between Brownsville and Veta, my dad's hometown, and versus Southwest boys, and some exciting soccer. Great, even though there are scrimmages, teams are not there to try to go win games. They're more kind of looking to see what they have and more of experimenting. Want to see what depth you have as far as your bench and all that, but very competitive games, and it's like I said, we saw 4 quality teams, give it their all, and it was exciting. And then also this morning too, went to see Jay and Sotomayor. Shout out to the JVs for both teams. It's an exciting game too. Got to give love to JV soccer, and then also the Jay Sotomayor game, very balanced game, back and forth, and. But the one thing is that it's great to see the action back. You can see the excitement by the players too, to be on the field. So it's like I said, right now it's kind of like the learning process, which you have, and like I said, the season's going to come in a couple weeks when it's now the records do count and the goals count.
Right, yeah, and I think that's kind of a key point of emphasis, right? Is that posting results, posting scores, anything like that. I mean, scores, it's your call, I guess, in terms of your program. But definitely the results getting posted on Max Preps is just I don't know why we continue to do that, but it still happens, right? So yeah, I mean it's been scrimmage palooza basically for the last 24 hours. You could say 24, almost really 30 hours. In the state, excuse me, in the state of Texas, and a lot of really good matchups right out of the gate too, which is awesome to see. Really good to see, just because I think when you're some of those programs that that get it in terms of you think you might know what you have, or you're still trying to figure out what you have. You're not supposed to have all the answers on day one,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the things that gets lost. I think that's one of the things that gets lost on in one of the many things here. So tell us, besides obviously the last 24 hours, what have you been up to since our last episode, which we did about 2 weeks ago?
I've been on the road with work, so still on the recruiting process. I don't know if anybody knows. I'm actually a senior admissions counselor for University of Houston Victoria, so I do admissions recruitment. So I have a background. So if you ever need questions about the recruitment process or admissions stuff, just reach out to me. I'm more than happy to answer questions. Like I said, I've been doing it for a while. Actually, like I said, this week I'll be coming up. I'll be 2 visits here in San Antonio. Then I'll be in Austin for a day and Wednesday, and then wrap it up one more Thursday, and then I get to take a break. Recharge. Yeah, exactly. I've only had maybe 2 days since August the 27th that I didn't have a visit. So, but it's great. Like I said, get to know background, a lot of visits. But the cool thing about coming up, some of the places I'm going to get to go to. So I'm going to do like some special episodes as far as like live streams that certain locations where I'm at. So that's going to be the fun part.
Yeah.
I think I did last year. I was at Waco University and Belton. That was a great game. I mean, that was a great game to see. Other game last year, I guess commentated Del Rio versus I think Laredo United South. Just shout out to KWMC in Del Rio. Thank you. I just thank them for them having me on, and it should be fun.
Shouting out everybody. Look at you. He's we don't call him the world's most interesting man for no reason, folks. So yeah, man, I think so. Thank you for being here. Absolutely loaded show today. We got multiple guests. We're going to literally cover from one end of the state to the other, right? So we're going to take you from El Paso to DFW to Austin, right? And then bring you back home and wrap up here out of the greater San Antonio area. So lots of great guests. Excited for today's show. And we're going to cover a bunch of different topics, right? We're going to look out west, what's going on out in the borderland, out in El Paso, my original hometown, right? My hometown. Out in El Paso, we're going to have Jesse Tovar on. Ricardo Guzman of the Allen Eagles Booster Club will be here to highlight the Allen Eagles showcase. And then we're going to wrap up with head men's soccer coach of Lake Travis Cavaliers, Coach David Bammel, who is also the director for the Austin Lakes Elite Showcase. So excited to talk all of that. Then we'll wrap up with the debut, right? The debut edition of the one and only, the RPI, the Rafa Power Index, right, Rafa? So
yep.
And then we'll take a look, and then we'll wrap up last. One of my favorite segments that we do is the Champions Review, right? So if you're not familiar with that, this is where we look at, excuse me, so I'm still getting over these allergies, but this is where we go, we look at last year's champions, right? And then we look at who is maybe the most likely and least likely to repeat as champion, and then who we kind of would bet our, quote unquote, bet our money on. So yeah, excited about that one as well. So, but let's get this started, man. I got the energy drink going here. Got to pop that. All right. And with that said, we're going to go ahead. We're going to bring in our first guest. He is Mr. Jesse Tovar, joining us out from the West Texas town of El Paso. What's up, buddy? How are you?
Hey guys. Hi, Hector, Rafa. Can you guys hear me good?
Yep. We can hear you good, man.
All right, fantastic, man. A long time no see, man. It's been what an honor to finally be back on the show. I know it's time flies, and sometimes I'll contact you, Hector. I'm like, hey, you gotta get me on to talk El Paso, and you're like, dude, I'm booked, and I get it. I see how it is, man.
We're kind of we're a decent little outfit now, man. It's shout out to Harry. Appreciate you. Always glad that you can be with us. Jesse. Really appreciate, obviously, all the great stuff, our ties going back to my time in El Paso. And Harry beat me to it. We're also here to join, kind of a little mini celebration here, celebrating our 4-year anniversary, which is officially tomorrow. Wow. Yeah, 4 years, dude. Can you believe that? So awesome. That's why I'm joking with we're a big outfitter. Not really.
I should have worn my 50-50 hoodie, man. I apologize.
You should have, man. Instead you're repping the wrong sport. But hey,
yeah, no. Hey. We had the All-Star quarterback challenge today so we got the All-Star game
did you?
For football next week. Okay. So yeah, it's been a full 2 weeks.
So the All-Star game, the Greater El Paso football showcase is next weekend.
Yeah, it's next weekend here in El Paso.
Awesome, good stuff. Now, what's your role in that? Because I know that's kind of been evolving, as far as I know.
Yeah,
they didn't come necessarily to hear football, but tell us about that.
Yeah, no. It's role has enhanced a little bit. I'm director of public relations and marketing, media credentials, stuff like that, and I help where I can. Kind of like your thing. Like we know how to do productions. We either go big or go home. So, right. My team of photographers, videographers, they go out there and they get it done. And at the same time, we want to make sure that everything that we do stays within NCAA compliance, UIL. It's a nonprofit, so it's giving back to the community. So, but really, really excited about soccer season coming up. I was over at Franklin last night watching El Paso and Franklin. That was a neat treat to start off the season.
Yeah, so how did that go, by the way? How was that?
You know what? El Paso was they won 3-2, and the Franklin, awesome, man. I mean, both of those teams, I love the coaches respectively, and both rosters are loaded. El Paso High, they're just loaded with all kinds of talent. I mean, they got Tessa O'Neill, Kelly Alvarez, the most unsaid secret, I guess the best kept secret in El Paso. I think it's Ashley Rosales, St. Mary's commit in your neck of the woods. Tessa just committed or just signed to New Mexico State. You have Alyssa Zubia, probably the top defender in the city. So they are loaded with talent. Lauren Varela is going to UTEP. And I'm just picking they got Kailani Guerrero. They got Isa Prieto. She's on the under 17 Mexican national team. She's a freshman this year, so they don't rebuild at El Paso High. They reload, and on paper, they probably have the toughest squad here or the best squad here in town.
Yeah,
El Paso.
Awesome.
And on the flip side, Franklin, they got the return of Jasmine Guerrero, also a Mexican national team member, and she's just phenomenal, and she looks so crisp, so fast. It's just awesome watching her play. Yesterday they were trying her in different positions. She ended up scoring a goal, but it was great to watch soccer back on the pitch. It got a little cold. I forgot how cold it gets during soccer games, man.
It's great to see Jazz back. Having fully recovered, and because she's just killing it. And not to get into too much detail, but where is she at in terms of her recruiting process?
Well, what the thing about Jazz is and I don't want to give anything away. She's keeping things very, very private. She has about maybe 3 D1 offers and a handful, I would say about maybe 6 or 7 schools on D1 schools that are she's on their radar. Yeah. So she's in a very comfortable position. It's just it's a make or break year, and she's doing everything else on the flip side with ECNL and she's in her club and Cosmos and everything that she's doing out here in West Texas. But now she's getting it done, man, and she's networking very well with coaches. She speaks very well. She interviews so good. And it'd be cool if we could get her on the show one of these days, and so you could talk to her yourself. But no, she's she's leaning. She's got a couple of West Texas school, I believe UTEP, and Arizona State's really she's on their radar, and it's really exciting to watch her grow and come back, because it looks like she didn't miss a step.
Right. Yeah. So proud of her. Yeah, exactly right. How she's come back. And I mean, you can tell us, you can spill the beans, man. There's nobody listening. It's just us three, bro. It's just us three.
No. But sometimes it's like, she's hesitant on telling me and like how to go. And I get the whole privacy thing. They don't.
Rightfully so.
She's modest. She's humble and modest. So that's cool.
And that's what makes her great.
Yeah.
But amongst many players, I know this out in the borderland, out in El Paso. I got coaches here. I got good old Stephanie Sazo, right? Great friend of the program from Del Valle High School, telling me to be nice to El Paso. As when am I not, right? But okay, that's a whole other conversation.
My youngest daughter, was Ivana's playing with Steph Sazo now, and
nice.
And it's great, man, just to watch her. And we were both there when she started, and she's built a perennial power out here in West Texas. Absolutely. Man. It's like same thing like in football. Del Valle doesn't rebuild, they reload, and she's one of the top. They have a very, very good team coming back. I think they only lost one key component in Mia Serrano, but who's over at Del Sol Ross now. But the thing about Del Valle and Sazo, she runs such a strict program, man. It's always next man up. Someone's always willing to step up and take over the role, fulfill their role.
Yeah, very proud of her as well, what she's done. And we knew it was coming when she got named the next head coach at the time, which was when I was leaving, ironically. But we knew it was coming, so not shocked whatsoever what she's done there. But Jesse, as we transition here, though, what I kind of wanted to see, I didn't know if you were there yet as far as with an official preseason, with a Borderland top 10 preseason rankings for the boys and or the girls. Have you been able to compile that data already? Do you have that?
I was looking at that today. I was looking at how they finished last year and going into this year, a lot of unknown, the attrition as far as teams. Max always over at San Luis Audio. They're every year they're in contention to get back to the Final Four. But let's start off with the boys. For the boys, I believe I selected. Let me see who I got. I got with Del Valle. Del Valle number 10. After Bruce Reichman retired, and I got Del Valle at number 10. I have Andrus Boys number 9. I have Eastwood Boys number 8. Franklin Boys 7. Who else did I pick? Oh, Burgess Mustangs had a great season last year. Montwood Boys look strong at 5. Going into the top 4, Pebble Hills at number 4. Obviously, coaching at Bel Air and doing his thing. the top two teams, it was a toss-up between Eastlake and San Elizario. You can't go against Max. Max just every year he's getting it done, and I gotta keep the Eagles on top and going out with Eastlake at number 2. But Eastlake has some great. They got Chris Mendes, the striker, coming back. They got Brandon Salas, their phenomenal goalkeeper, and their defender Hugo Chavez. So, Gibby Widner out there at Eastlake. I mean, it's like he coaches both the men's and the women's, and he's just. Yeah. It's just awesome to watch. Every year, at the end of the year, they're probably the last 6A team that is still playing when everybody else is knocked out. Them and San Elizario. That way, it was a tough call on those last two.
Yeah. I remember when I was, when I was out there at the reservation out at Isleta, having them in our district was, oh my God. I was like, what are we doing?
No. But no, it's great. A great tribute to that. And, now what you're seeing, what I've been kind of like talking to athletes and on both sides, and they're getting a lot of people try out now. It's not like, they would get a handful and you'd have 4 or 5 people not make the team. Now they're getting like hundreds and hundreds of kids where there's like 70 kids not making their squad. So that's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
It seems like everybody's buying in and they all want to play soccer. So that's really neat to watch. And we want another state championship out here in West Texas.
There you go. So San Elizario comes in as the Prep 1 boys Prep 1 boys number 1.
Them and Eastlake, man. Them and Eastlake.
They won
one. I want to ask Jesse, is there a boys team that wasn't on your list that might be your sleeper or your dark horse that may sneak up on some people this year?
You know what? It's too early to call, Rafa. I was looking at that. I was like, who am I missing? Who's out there? Maybe Chapin boys. You never know. You never know. Excellent coach out there with Coach Gallegos, and they do a phenomenal job out there as well. So yes, it's just I know I'm missing someone, and again preseason, and you don't know as far as. Right now, we don't know the injuries or who's coming back or who's transferring, stuff like that. So I'd say in the next month or so, we should have a more solid grasp as far as who are the top 10 teams. But for the top 3 teams, I think it's a safe bet. San Elizario, Eastlake, and Bel Air run the show out here in West Texas for the boys.
Gotcha. Now, as we transition over to the girls' side, what do you got for us, Jesse?
Okay, well, no disrespect to Sanelli because there's, the boys is number 1, but I got the Sanelli girls number 10. I got America's Trailblazers. America's is doing a fantastic job, as far as what they're doing. They got Annabella Escobar. She's a junior this year. She's got a lot of D1 attention as well. Had an official or unofficial at UTEP a couple of months ago, so a big upside for her. Number 8, I have the Chapin Huskies. At Chapin Huskies, you have Gabby Ramirez, a sister of Bella Ramirez out there at St. Mary's.
Little sister, huh? Okay.
Yeah, Bella's little sister. Yeah, Fred's youngest daughter. She's out there. She's a 2026. You have Elise Frede, who's also a St. Mary's commit. It's like a pipeline, right? The Chapin pipeline to St. Mary's, but they're coming in at number 8. At number 7, I have the Andress Eagles. Every year they're bringing it. Every year they're district champions and running them. I think I may have them a little low. I have the Montwood Rams. The Montwood Rams, they were plagued with injuries last year, with Daniela Portillo. And I think they had like 3 or 4 ACL injury starters. And it was like, and they were getting it done. They were knocking out teams they were messing up people's seedings towards the end of the year. Because those teams that couldn't lose, they were out there, and Coach Lopez was getting it done. And they have Kathy Palmer, excellent goalkeeper, out there for the Montwood Rams.
Sol Ross commit. Where's she going?
Sol Ross commit. Yeah. Her story is her story's awesome. I mean, she's had the ACLs and the surgeries and stuff like that, but she's a great keeper, and she's on. And I told her, don't be surprised. Right now she hasn't signed. She's a verbal, but. Don't be surprised other schools coming after her because she's a phenomenal talent out there at Montwood. Number 5, this one, Eastwood Troopers. Eastwood Troopers, they lost a lot of talent, but you can't go wrong with Caitlin Duntley. I mean, she is a UTEP commit. I love Kate. Yeah. She's an awesome finesse player. You have Alejandra Lopez, also uncommitted. She's an awesome player mid. Adelina Martel. Martel's been playing great. She's my sleeper. She's gonna come out she's gonna have a breakout year, and she's gonna put herself on a lot of radars. And I love that type of player, just those type of sleeper finesse players that get it done. And she's she's really exciting to watch. On going into number 4, I do have the Franklin Cougars. We just talked about Jasmine Guerrero, and we have a couple of injuries going on. With
Right,
Malige and everyone, but the coaching. Sometimes it's not the players, it's the coaching, and these coaches they're seasoned guys and they know what they're doing. And much respect and kudos out there to Franklin. And last night they were losing 3-0 to El Paso High, and they came back and they lost 3-2. So coaches make adjustments and they bring out the best in the players. Number 3 was a very tough one. I was like, and I hope, I fear the bun right now. Fear the Stephanie Sazo bun, man. She always wears that bun, man. And I'm like,
be nice to El Paso.
Yes, of course, man. But you have Isabella Munoz. You have probably one of the best defenders in the city with Alexis Salcedo. You have the twins out there, the Ramirez girls, and it's just they. We talked about it earlier. Del Valle, they don't rebuild, they reload, and they look like they have a really solid. They got everybody back. They got everybody back with the exception of Serrano, and look for Del Valle to be there at the end and make a deep run in the playoffs because she's got them ready to go. And I'll bearing any injuries, I think when at the end of the day and at the end of the season. When people are advancing, going into the Sweet 16 or so, look for Del Valle to be there making some noise representing West Texas there in the 5A area. Number 2, I do have, and this was we talked about it earlier on, I do have the Eastlake Falcons at number 2. No disrespect to them. They have a flood. They have Neymar Calvo, Alondra Munoz, Chloe Del Real. They are, they were the last 6A team standing last year. And Calvo's I believe she's a Jackson State commit. She's a great stopper in that back line. But it all depends on the draw for the playoffs and where they're at. As long as they stay healthy, I believe Eastlake has, they can make some noise as well. And obviously number 1, the El Paso High Tigers. Just on paper, it's just. They got everybody, and we talked about Tessa O'Neill going to New Mexico State, Ashley Rosales going to St. Mary's. We got Kylie Alvarez. You have let me get some name. Worm. She's a Lubbock Christian. You have Lauren Varela, UTEP commit. You have Kailani Guerrero. We talked about Ashley Rosales, Ariel Chacon, Alyssa Zubia, arguably the best defender. I love Alyssa. I've been following her career since she was an 8th grader. And her and Alexis Salcedo over Del Valle and NJ Neymar Calvo over at Eastlake. Those 3 are the top defenders here in the borderland. Excuse me, but it's just awesome to watch. I love the energy because high school soccer's back, man. So with that said, yes, the El Paso High Tigers are the number 1 team out here in for the girls.
Awesome.
As far as the rankings on paper, right? Because they have so many signees. They have so many signees already. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and in college coaches, and I know Coach Keaton, Coach Bartz out at UTEP and MSU are not going to like me saying this, but college coaches around the state, around the country, if you're listening, obviously, a lot of talent out in the borderland, out in West Texas, and ton of just talent that just gets overlooked because of where they're at, or maybe the league that they might play in. But if you're a college coach, you're listening to this, you owe it to yourself, you owe it to your program to leave no stone unturned, and you've got to find a way to go get out there or go see some of these players that are playing out of that region.
Yeah, not only that, they could reach out to me anytime, Real Jesse Tovar or Prep One USA, and I'll send you film. Some of these girls are really, it's an untapped area, and you're absolutely right. Before it would be 1 or 2 girls going to the D1 level. Now every year it's like 3 or 4, 5, 6 girls going to the D1 level. A lot of juniors. A lot the class of not only this class 2025, but 2026 is loaded. 2027, 28 coming in is just phenomenal. So it's fun to watch because this area, and you're from this area, you know how tough it is to get recruited out of this area.
Mm-hmm.
Heck, me as a dad, my daughter LeVay, with everything that I went with her, she was discovered on Twitter. If it wasn't for Twitter, who knows if she would have ever been discovered.
Right. And yeah, it's no exaggeration just in terms of just some of the obstacles that being out in the borderland, out in far West Texas, some of the obstacles that exist in terms of getting on the recruiting radar. But I know one of the things that I'm most proud of is some of the girls, some of the student athletes I was able to coach while I was out there, as Jesse saw, and with his help with support, we made it known that it is possible to be recruited out there, to be able to kind of get on college coaches' radars. So love what you guys are doing out there. And tell us, as we start wrapping up here, Jesse, tell us what's the latest, what's going on, what's new with Prep One in anticipation of soccer season.
You know what? It's like every year it's like a new thing, right? TikTok has really helped out as far as, not so much as far as on the crew, but just I tell athletes all the time, you're spending so much time on TikTok, on Instagram, on Snapchat. You need to sacrifice a little bit and apply some of that time for your recruiting time. But as far as Prep One, we're tapping into several sports now. It's gotten to the point where I get a little bit picky. I just don't accept everyone or want to work with everyone, because we all know here that it has to come from the athlete. It has to come from the athlete. It's got to be driven by the athlete. It can't be, yes, definitely parent facilitated, but athlete motivated. You got to have the athletes buy-in and commitment to their own process, because if they're not committed to their own process, it ain't going to work. The parent could just only do so much. And I talk to parents more than I do the athletes sometimes. But if the athlete isn't committed to their own process and do whatever it takes to market themselves and stay committed, and contact coaches, and we understand it's about applications and test scores and not only that, the verbiage that when a coach offers a certain amount, what does that mean? Is it per semester? Is it per year? It's stretched out. It's just so much going on with the NIL transfer portal. We just have so many other conversations. We could have a whole show on that. But before I let you go, I want to plug in two athletes. You know one of them, Yareshli Diaz, a transfer from Isleta over to Pebble Hills. Nadia Soto, also from Pebble Hills. Those girls are slated to have a big year. Caitlin Favela over at Parkland. And I don't know if I mentioned her, but Malihe Shafe from Franklin. She's hurt a little. She's hurt. She's banged up. She may be back to give Jasmine some support.
Salma's old team. So Salma, Kylie out at El Paso High, and Ashley Rosales all out at El Paso High. We're all teammates when we were there in El Paso, all club teammates.
Man, what a roster, man, huh?
It's awesome. It's awesome.
I will tell you, I know I talked about El Paso High being #1, but I saw Ashley last night. Dude, she's a real deal. I know she's going to St. Mary's, and I love Coach Driggs. I'm loyal to St. Mary's, but she's signed, but she looks great.
Look at you stirring the pot.
I'm not stirring any pot. I'm just saying. I looked at her. I'm like, that's the dark horse MVP there, man. Because I know all eyes are on Tessa, and Tessa's gonna do hers. And she's a cousin of Jake Fetty out here. Jake Fetty, I don't know if you've heard of him. He's Del Valle quarterback, right? Yes, Del Valle quarterback. Yeah. They're cousins, man, and it's just what a small world. But no, it's great. Thank you guys for again showing love to West Texas. Don't forget about us. We're like Texas's stepchild because we're so far west out here. But don't forget.
A big shout out to the borderland.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. All right.
Thank you guys.
He is Jesse Tovar, CEO of Prep One USA, out in the borderland, out in West Texas, in El Paso, doing great things, brother. It's been too long since we have had you on here. Got to have you on again. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's the Heisman Trophy show tonight. I'm missing the Heisman Trophy because I want to.
Already know. Everybody knows who already won it, man. Everybody knows who already won it.
So. Hey, I promise that next time I will have. I still wear my 50-50 shirt, by the way. You know what? I don't know if the logo has changed.
Hey, does it still fit? That's what I want to know. Does it still fit?
Of course, it still fits. Yes. But I want an update. Has the logo still the same? Is it updated or anything changed?
No, the logo. No. So we're in production right now. Is the Inside Texas High School, that logo you see down in the bottom right here? That's what that's what we got going right now. And then working on trying to get a bunch of whole new merch. All of that stuff hopefully will come out with it when we finally launch the website.
Let me know. The websites, it's always right about merchandise and everything. Always to support you guys, always a true friend. Rafa was awesome talking to you guys again, man, and have me on a little bit more, man. We need to talk West Texas mid-season and then end of season, maybe playoff predictions. Throw a bone at me, please.
There we go. Hey, we're gonna remember
the bracketology. For bracketology.
We're gonna remember.
Now that's gonna be longer now.
Right? Your bracketologies last like hours upon hours.
Yeah, dude.
Well, now with two divisions, it's gonna be a little bit more interesting.
All right, he is Jesse Tovar, Prep One. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, we'll see you.
Have a good one.
All right, man. Great stuff, man. Great stuff. And hey, we are going to quickly transition from one guest to another. But special thanks again to Jesse Tovar from Prep One for joining us, talking all things El Paso. As he highlighted the top 10 out in the Borderland region for both the boys and girls, dropping a lot of great names of a lot of great talent. So happy to see El Paso shining the way they are in terms of pushing a lot of athletes out into the next level. So. But all right, we are going to go ahead and bring in our next guest. He is Ricardo Guzman of the Allen Eagle Soccer Booster Club. Ricardo,
Yes.
How are you, buddy?
Good. How are you guys?
How are you? Thank you.
Good.
Thank you for patiently waiting. I know we're kind of running a little bit behind there, but I promise we'll get to everything. We got a ton of stuff to get to you, or to get with regarding everything you're here for. That is all about all Allen Eagles and their showcase, which is slated for in a couple of weeks. But 10th year, we know it's almost coming up on 100 teams. But tell us a little bit more.
We're super excited about these showcases here. As you mentioned, we're starting to celebrate our 10th year organizing this incredible event. We have plus 93 teams already confirmed. There's going to be more than 15 recruiters coming
Nice.
to this showcase, which is great. We have, let me give you some of the universities are coming here because I mean, just having their participation is key for us and for everybody. So we have the University of the Ozarks, UT Dallas, Centenary College, Wayland Baptist University, McMurray University, UMHB, Concordia University, Paul Quinn College, East Texas Baptist University, and so very, very interested universities and colleges coming to these showcase. A lot of attention from a few others that, I mean, these have RSVP'd already. We still have a few others on the list.
Yeah.
That for sure will show up. So
great. So tell us the format. Obviously, it's a showcase format, but what is the actual, for those who may be interested, who they're kind of wondering, it's like, man, this is a showcase with almost 100 different schools. What does that look like? How do you guys go about divvying that up? Who handles that? Is that the booster club? The coaches have a say as to, hey, split these teams in half and put them in different kind of pools. How do you guys go about that?
It's led by the booster club, parents from the booster club who have experience and have been in previous showcases. And we start planning this like 6 months ahead.
Yeah.
It's a huge teamwork from everybody because we get sponsors, we get, of course, the organizers, we get the schedule. We work even with a few coaches to get the games all together in 5 different locations. So we will speak about them later. We also have, I mentioned the sponsors already, but the referees schedule and shifts, and it's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. A lot of work to be done, and but as always, very committed as parents just to make this an incredible experience for everybody. Grateful to have all these participation from teams all over Texas.
Yeah,
we can see that I guess that we're the largest high school showcase in at least.
in the state.
I mean,
yeah, it's got to be one of the largest in the country at the high school
I
level.
believe so. Yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
believe so. Yes.
So tell us now the logistics, right? You talked about 5 locations, but so what does that look like for the people who are wondering what goes behind the scenes? Because I remember when we had Missy on last year, right? The amount of just data that she was dropping, I had no idea, right? I had no idea that it was that big, just in terms of just the schools participating, the number of college coaches that were attending, but then also the locations, the logistics, right? The amount of volunteers that extend beyond the booster club, the officials. That is a monster, right? So what do the logistics look like in terms of the number of volunteers? Maybe where are the 5 locations? Tell us a little bit more about the actual logistics.
Sure. Well, we have 5 locations. It's, of course, the Eagle Stadium, We have the track of Island High School as well. We have the Lowry Freshman Center, which is right across the street from the high school
Mhm.
for freshmen. There are 2 fields there, so now we are adding 4, and Curtis Middle School, which is around the same area, maybe a mile away from there, which is a 5th location.
Gotcha.
So parents from the Booster Club and some other volunteers, they commit a few hours during the day or during those days. We have plus 150 volunteers. Today we have still 65 slots to fill. So if someone is interested in joining and volunteering for a few days with us, it would be incredible.
We can send you Rafa if you need a volunteer. I can send you Rafa. How does that? How does that? No, but yeah, no, that is great stuff, man. That is, oh man. So there's so many different directions. Obviously, we could go in terms of the logistics of that. But before I go any further with any more questions, I want to pass it over to Rafa. Rafa, you got any questions for Ricardo?
Yeah, Ricardo, just going into this tournament, to this showcase, well, as far as the invitations to the teams, how do you attract the teams to come to the showcase?
We have, it's everything. They register online, and of course they confirm the assistance and the attendance. It's a nonstop day. We start at 7 a.m. with some games. We finish at 7 p.m. based on the schedule. Pretty tight schedule. Not so much in between each one of the games. Not so much time, but it's one after another. And the parents, volunteers in the main entrances, also checking some of the visitors, making sure that the teams arrive on time, also making sure that they start on time. So we're pretty tight and trying to bring the best and try to fill the schedule, of course, and fit to it. We cannot be late in any of the games, so yeah, it's great. It's great.
Now the games themselves, Ricardo, are they standard 40-minute halves, or what do those look like? Do they change because just the volume of teams participating?
It depends on varsity, junior varsity.
Okay.
We have varsity, junior varsity teams, but depends on where they are from. The times are different,
hmm
and that's how we program the schedule and
Okay.
just try to make a run. Mhm.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But as soon as the next teams arrive, which is we ask them to be there 30 minutes
hmm
for each one of the games. It's amazing how punctual they are, and
Yeah.
we really encourage them to be sharp, starting on time, so we're not late in the games. So
Right.
it's incredible how the volunteers and the parents get involved, and we make this happen, which is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Now, before we let you go, you mentioned the sponsors, and I know that's a big part of this dynamic, right? To make it happen, to allow it to happen, and to keep costs down for everybody, right? So, tell us a little bit
Mention
maybe a couple of key sponsors and their roles that help you carry out this tournament,
Well,
this
we
showcase.
this year we got Shields. Shields is a title sponsor for it,
hmm
and of course they will be having presence all over the different fields. Chick-fil-A locally just committed incredibly with us. Toca, it's their 3rd year, Toca football, and we're creating a new synergy with them in terms of bringing more presence from the students to the Lowry Freshman Center, which there are 2 fields, and they will be just having a booth there where people and kids can play. Frost Bank also committed, and there are other 19 sponsors who are participating with us, just donating money as sponsors or
Mhm.
as in-kind sponsors, which is great.
Yeah. Awesome. Great stuff. We are talking with Ricardo Guzman. He is a key member, and so his role in the Allen Eagles Soccer Booster Club and their showcase, which is coming up. So, last thing before we let you go, Ricardo, tell us a little bit more. So, 2 things. Give us the dates for the showcase for maybe any other coaches that may be interested in attending, college coaches possibly, but then also where can we get more information on this event?
Sure. So you can visit our website, the Allen Soccer Booster Club. Island Eagles. We also have a page in Facebook, and you can just visit us there or send us any message. We're selling tickets for the visitors. It's gonna be $16 for the 3 days, or it's gonna be $8 per day. Okay,
Gotcha.
so it's better to buy the 3 days in advance, and that's gonna be great. And yeah, I mean, those who want to participate more, contact us. Those who want to volunteer, I mean, send us information through our website or our Facebook page, and we'll be happy to answer and bring everybody in.
Yeah. Awesome. Great. And the date, which
Dates,
weekend will
yes.
that be?
January 9, 10, and 11, which is
Gotcha.
a Thursday, Friday, and a Saturday.
Awesome. Great stuff. Again, we are talking with Ricardo Guzman of the Ellen Eagle Soccer Booster Club. Sir, thank you so much for your
Hector
time.
and Rafa, thanks for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir.
Take
Appreciate you.
care.
Thank you for your patience as well. Really appreciate you, and all the best of luck to not only this event, but to both Ellen Eagle squads this season. All the best.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
day. Bye-bye. Have a good night. Bye-bye. All right, man. Great stuff. Thank you to Ricardo Guzman for joining us, and Ellen Eagles Booster Club for letting him get away, because I know they are busy. They are very busy. Thoughts on that, man? Almost 100 teams, and crazy. I could only imagine the logistics.
Yeah, I remember when we talked to them last year, just the setup of it, just the organization. So, like I said, this is probably one of the best organized high school showcases here, probably not only in the state of Texas, but also in the nation too. So props to the Allen Soccer Booster Club for organizing this, and very lucky to have them. Like I said, the players have for that support.
Yeah, and a personal shout out to Ricardo as well for just his patience. I know in trying to reach out to the podcast, and it was around when we were prepping for the convention, of course, and then I got sick, and then we had an episode, and then luckily I came across some of his stuff was getting diverted into our spam, and I was like, what is going on here? But I was really glad we were able to touch base, so thank you to him as well. So great representation of Allen Eagles and their booster club. So thank you again, and best of luck. So all right, man, we are going to transition one more guest. We're going to go ahead and bring him in. He is no stranger to the 50/50 podcast or Inside Texas High School Soccer. He is David Bemmel, the head men's soccer coach of the Lake Travis High School Cavaliers, as well as the tournament director, the Austin Lakes Elite Showcase. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are y'all? Everybody
Dude,
doing
that's a mouthful, man. I was like, it spends like it takes me 2 minutes to introduce you.
Oh, no, it's been a fun road, and I love coaching, and it's been I look forward to continuing what I do. So it's a great time.
Great. So the first question that Rafa had for me, he didn't want to ask you. He told me to ask you is like, ask Coach Bemmel if he's wearing a fanny pack. That's all he told me to ask you. That's all.
I am not wearing a fanny pack. That's not something that every Lake Travis is doing.
The real question is he wearing the ring? That's the one I really.
Oh man,
no ring on right now. No ring on.
That nice state championship ring.
I obviously have it sitting here close by because it's a wonderful memento of the season that we got to experience, but I'm not wearing it. No.
Yeah. But Coach Bemmel, man, he's a humble guy. He was not wearing it at the Tasco convention a couple of weeks ago, but he wouldn't stop talking about it. So he's not that humble, right? So he wouldn't stop talking about it the whole time. Right. No, they were comparing rings, both him and Jimmy Kruger from Katy Seven Lakes, and of course, me and Coach Johnson from San Antonio Johnson are just there quietly observing with nothing to add. With nothing to add, I was just like, hey, but I did tell him, right, Coach? I don't know if you remember, right, what I told you. If I win state, I'm gonna get the bling grill for the mouth, right? No ring for me, right? No ring.
That would be awesome. That would be phenomenal. No, I think it's a great time at the convention to be able to celebrate those coaches who have been successful, and so. I'm glad. I was actually happy to see some of those other coaches who had won their state championships walking around with their ring on. I think it's very much so a great thing to be able to celebrate those coaches. So that's
absolutely.
awesome.
Absolutely. It's just, we playfully hate, but the truth of it is, like, we celebrate you guys for doing. I mean, you put in the work, you want it. Yeah, you probably should wear it, man. You probably should wear it. So
Absolutely.
doesn't mean we're not going to give you grief about it, but yeah.
No, of course, of course, of course.
But hey, we didn't. This is not a jewelry show. We came in to bring you on to talk a little bit more about, just a little bit about your squad, but really to highlight. Tell us a little bit more about the upcoming Austin Lakes Elite Showcase, which I got to tell you, Coach, has turned into like a great showcase, right? Who you guys bring in, you're very strategic with it, and you guys bring in some heavy hitters. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was, it's got to be 6 or 7 years ago now that we decided to go down the path of trying to bring in some of those elite teams from all over the state of Texas. And I approached the Westlake coach at the time and said, hey, we both have phenomenal facilities around here. We're right here in the Hill Country. There's a lot of teams out there who would love to be able to have a nice little centralized meeting spot. And so it was at that time that I just went out and started reaching out to a lot of very strong, traditionally strong schools, knowing that I wanted to bring them in to create a showcase in which, the teams who really believed that they were prepared to handle a very heavy load of a showcase, that they would come into the showcase ready to compete. And I wanted it to be that way. Number one, you want to be able to bring in some college coaches who are interested to be a part of that. You want to give some of these teams who know that they're returning a lot of their starters the ability to be able to test them and see what level they can be pushed at, while at the same time, obviously getting them prepared for a district season. We've been fortunate enough to be able to say that, we've had state tournament teams at our showcase every single year. There's always been somebody who's been at that state tournament coming to our showcase every single year but like I said, we've reached out to some of those heavy hitters, some of those teams that we know are going to be high level teams, and they've jumped right at it. And it's been nice because I think we've started to develop a little bit of a recognition for being a high level tournament. And sure enough, we're having some of those teams that know that they're going to be good, and they're saying, hey, I want to challenge my team. Let's get them in your showcase. And so we're now up to 32 teams. I section them off into 4 different groups, and they play a game Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But I like the showcase style because it allows for us to be able to know exactly when every single game is being played.
Right.
All the coaches can prepare for their season and prepare for their time here.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of the showcase because I like to know exactly when and where. Right. I think, tournaments are nice. The early non-district, early season tournaments are nice, but I think we're all only really worried about one tournament, and that's the one at the end of the season, right?
Absolutely.
So outside of that, I like to be targeted, strategic with it. Yeah, I agree. So 32 teams now. So I guess, for lack of better words, kind of 4 pools. How you section them off? How do you go about that? What do you factor in for that besides just maybe name, pedigree, but you like geographically, you gotta, because sometimes I know you're looking at some of the same teams from the same districts, right? So how do you handle that?
It's a process. I mean, obviously I do reach out to the coaches and I get a little insight from them because, I mean, they're the one who knows their team the best. I'd like to believe that every single one of them is going to give me at least some degree of honest feedback. Some of them come to me and they say right away, I want you to put me through the gauntlet there. And I'm like, hey, okay, sounds good. Sure enough, I run into them at Tasco, and every single one was like, well, oh my gosh, you did put me through the gauntlet. And I'm like, well, you asked for it. So that's the path we're going to go down. But no, a lot of that comes down to, how they finished last year. I do reach out and ask some of the general population of coaches, hey, who do you believe is going to be the top level player or top level teams that are out there? Who's returning a lot of their guys? What are we expecting to be able to see from some of them? And then obviously, like you said, geographically, you have to manipulate things because you don't want a lot of teams from the Houston area playing each other, and you don't want all the teams from Dallas coming down to play each other or anything like that. So it's a process of being able to work through all those details. But we've done a really good job of being able to bring in, El Paso East Lakes coming in from El Paso. So you've got teams from there. You've got teams all the way from down south. You've got teams from San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, they all kind of come together in this one centralized location, and it works out well because I'm pretty sure that in all of my groups, they're all pretty well diversified in terms of their location and a lot of the talent that's out there as well.
Yeah. So we've talked about the format. We've talked about how you go about divvying up that format, but now the logistics. Take us through the logistics a little bit as far as, set locations. How does that work? Volunteers. What does that look like? That kind of stuff. Just the additional things behind the scenes that people think just happen.
Yeah, no, I mean, I again, me and the coach over at Westlake, he used to be my assistant coach here at Lake Travis, and so me and him have a really good rapport. And then I've gotten to know Josh Hill over at Dripping Springs really well, and so we all have really good facilities. So it was pretty easy to be able to utilize each of those stadiums. The process of trying to figure out where some of these teams are going to play, because obviously some of those who are up in Dallas, they don't want to play a Saturday match down in Dripping whenever they could have a little bit less of a drive going back. Those teams who are in the Valley, obviously the Southern Texas teams, they want to make sure that they're not having to drive that much further, so they might want to play at Dripping Springs. Additionally, you're having to manipulate things based off of what time is there going to be their first game is going to take place on a Thursday. You got to give them time to be able to work their way into town. Right. And then
it's Austin traffic, Coach. How bad could it be? Come on.
Yeah, I know. Nothing's happening there on I-35
ever. Yeah.
And then on top of it, whenever they leave on Saturday, you've got to make sure that you're giving them enough time to where they're not getting back at midnight or 11 o'clock at night. You want to try and be as fair as you can to those coaches. So, it's a lot. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I'm always a little bit stressed and a little worried about, everybody making it to their games on time. And, I've had it before in the past where even some of the coaches have been a little bit like overwhelmed by some of their first couple of games. And now they're saying on Saturday, they're like, well, I'm going to be able to put a team out there, but it's not going to be my ones or my twos. It's going to be a lot of my subs out there. And so, you have to work through some of those things and just be flexible whenever, because some of these coaches, they might have 4 injuries that take place in the first couple of games. It happens as much as we don't want it to happen. They want to save themselves for district as well. So we have to work through a lot of those details in the process.
Gotcha. Rafa, you got anything for Coach?
As far as with I guess I said the teams, how many teams actually contact you each year to try to get into the tournament? Because I know you said you have 32 teams. How many of them do you have to say, maybe next year, or do you have to turn away?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a handful of them. I'm not going to, again, because I do believe that because a little bit of the dynamic of the showcase and the talent level that we have coming in, there's not a lot of coaches who are ready to put their team through that. I do get probably about 8 to 10 a year who are sitting there saying, hey, do you have an open spot? Do we have an opportunity to be able to get in there? Some of the coaches obviously do pull out and they recognize, hey, we don't have maybe the strongest squad this next year. And I'm worried that I bring my team in there and we play 3 games. And not only do we get beat up on a little bit physically, but also mentally as well. And so I think that it all ends up balancing out. But it is normally around that 8 to 10 team mark where teams are reaching out pretty consistently.
Yeah. Now, but I guess one of the fascinating things, considering the level, right, of your showcase is kind of been the retention level, right? Is you keep the overwhelming majority of the schools there, which is pretty awesome to see. So, year in and year out, you're going to get great matches. But a couple of more here for you, Coach, before we let you go. You talked about 6-7 years ago, right, where the thought process came into play and when the actual showcase event started to now. Where have you seen the biggest changes, or that maybe you kind of take pride in the most?
I definitely think some of the bigger things have come in that it's like, I guess what we're known for within the showcase and the high level of play has been great. I mean, we were fortunate enough to bring in a lot of those top level teams right from the very beginning. And again, they wanted to stay. But it's interesting whenever you get a lot of teams from similar districts that are now saying, I want to get into that showcase. And that means that there's a lot of coaches out there who are talking about the quality of the showcase. And that's kind of the personality I was trying to create within the showcase. I wasn't necessarily going for the biggest showcase out there, but I was trying to go for a pretty selective showcase. And I really wanted there to be a lot of the teams that, like I said before, know that they're returning a lot of starters. Maybe they made it to the third round, fourth round of playoffs, and maybe they're saying to themselves, hey, we need this team to be battle tested and be prepared for their season. And I think that was the direction I was going with from the very beginning. I think that we've achieved that because now you're seeing a lot of those teams come out there and say, hey, this is an opportunity for me to be prepared for my season. Yeah. And I believe that we can contest and we can make some good games of it. So it's been really nice to see that development.
Yeah. Rafa, you got anything else for Coach?
In the future, do you see maybe expanding that maybe to 48 teams or inviting like another Austin area high school to be like a fourth host? Any plans for that?
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about bringing in, Vandegrift is over here on this side of town as well, and they have a phenomenal facility, and obviously they're known for having a great soccer program themselves. So we're kind of all in the same boat on that one. So I've thought about bringing in them. We actually used them as a site a few years back before Dripping came up into 6A, and once Dripping came into 6A, it just worked out better for us to be able to use that as a site. I don't mind expanding it. I don't mind doing that, but I want to maintain the integrity of what my vision was for the showcase. I try to avoid it turning into, hey, get everybody in. Yes, I want people to want to come, but I also want it to be a lot of high-level games. And I don't want there to ever be a watered-down feel to it, which sometimes that does happen out there. And you start to say, hey, well, we'll just take anybody out there. And, normally that's fine. That's no big deal. I think that's a great thing. But I was hoping that this showcase would maintain some degree of an elite status whenever it was all said and done.
Yeah, great stuff. We are talking with Coach David Bammel, the head men's soccer coach of Lake Travis Cavaliers, as well as the tournament director of the Austin Lakes Elite Showcase. Coach, where can we get more information, or will you be pumping out just maybe results from the tournament? Where can we get more information, those that might be interested in following just the event itself?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously we do have some social media posts. We have some specifically set up for the Austin Lakes Elite Showcase. With it, my booster club does a phenomenal job of helping me to maintain our website. There with the Lake Travis men's soccer is where you can find that one. So that's where the schedule will be found. And then, I push out results. We try to, obviously offer some pictures and things like that of some of the games that are going on out there, and try and get some excitement around this showcase. And we've done a good job of that in the past. And a lot of the athletes who come to the showcase, we've started to notice that they're starting to become very active and, tagging us on a lot of their posts as well. So it's been a lot of fun within the showcase to see that growth also.
Great. Awesome. And before I let you go, I got to ask you just briefly, right? Not going into full detail, but how are you feeling about your boys this year?
I'm feeling great about the boys. They're working hard. Last year, we had a very young team, a very inexperienced team. I had 11 brand new players on the field last year. A goalkeeper, a couple of goalkeepers who had not had a lot of experience at the position. We were struggling to be able to find ways to be able to score goals last year. This year, all those guys who were with us and inexperienced last year are now very experienced. Now they're prepared for this season. So I'm really excited about this group of guys. The personality of the team is very strong. The culture within the group is very hardworking, dedicated, and determined. And they want to be coached. And that's the great thing about it. They want to hear feedback. They want to go through the video work. They want even some extra sessions whenever they can get those extra sessions inside there. So it's been a phenomenal group to be able to work with. I'm hoping that we're going to be able to achieve great things. You never know until the season starts to roll around, but we're going to give it our best, and we're going to try and make sure that we hopefully leave no regrets behind.
Yeah. Alumni game go good today?
Yeah. No, we had a great game out there. We ended up we ended up finishing at a 3-2 victory for ourselves. It's funny because some of those alumni guys, they can still move around decently well, and they still know how to play. I mean, we had a couple guys who came out from that state team, and so they're still out there playing soccer. Where one of them's up at UTD. Ben Paradniharan was there, and Diego Castrillon, who's out at Cal Poly right now. So we had a couple guys that came out there, and they were still showing their skills. They love to be able to prove that they still got it. So it was fun.
Great deal. Great stuff. And before I let you go, so I got to mention, it was great to be able to catch up with you and Will and the Lake Travis crew, and then by extension the Austin crew right out at Tesco. But really had a chance, opportunity to have good conversation with you in particular. So really, it was great to be able to have that conversation with you as well as Coach Johnson from San Antonio Johnson. But before I let you go, just kind of wanted to give you the floor, see if any shout outs, thank yous, anything you want to share, kind of give you an opportunity to share any thoughts that you got going on. Floor is yours.
Oh, I mean, I appreciate y'all for allowing me to come on. I did enjoy those times whenever we get to come together at Tasco and get to talk to all those like-minded coaches. And so I can say that I truly appreciate everything that each of those coaches has to be able to offer, and just the relationships of it that I've been able to have along the way. Additionally, I just got to make sure I'm thanking my family as well, because the amount of time that I know that I'm away from them, I got 4 kids. I've got my wife, and it's a busy household, and she manages and takes care of them. And I can't say how much I appreciate their support for this program. They come to as much of the games as they can. They're sitting up there in the press box, and one of my daughters, she's an avid soccer player herself, and she's up there, from what I've been told, yelling out all the coaching stuff that she's heard from me before in the past. So, at least I'm keeping it to some degree within the family. They're getting excited up there, though.
I was going to say, the coach's kid, man, they're the best and sometimes the worst, because they regurgitate everything we say.
That's exactly right. Now she's starting to get a little snarky with me whenever I do some of the things that I say I'm going to do, or that I tell her to do. And so she's all like, well, Daddy, and then I'm like, okay, you can't get back at me on that one. That's my comment to you. All right.
Great stuff. He is Coach David Bammel, the head men's soccer coach of the Lake Travis Cavaliers, as well as the tournament director of the Austin Lakes Elite Showcase. Coach, really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us. It's 8:15. You're still in the office. Just wrapped up an alumni game. You just had a scrimmage yesterday, and I know it was kind of a little bit short notice, but really appreciate your flexibility, and thank you for coming on.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Okay.
Awesome. What'd you think? Great guests. Man.
Great. Yeah.
Jesse, Ricardo, and then of course, Coach Bammel joining us. What'd you think?
Great. Just great insight from one end of the state to the top of the state, and then back this way. So, like I said, great information. You got 2 great showcases. Like I said, one in the Dallas area, one in the Austin, Central Texas area. With a lot of quality teams, and also, players too. And, we've seen some state champions come out of those showcases. So it just shows that this sport is growing, and it's getting more competitive. But the thing is the kids are actually getting this into the spotlight, getting the recognition by these, being looked at by these colleges as well.
Yeah. Great stuff. And apologies here. We had a little technical difficulty here with the camera. So reconnecting. So you'll get to see my ugly face in minutes there. Just a little different. Just looks a little different while we reconnect. But I mean, just seeing, the great information there, right, that we got from guests, from Jesse. And I think the best thing too, right, is what we're hearing in terms of just the engagement level in the sport across the state. Like, think about, we just brought you someone from El Paso to DFW to Austin, excuse me, and they're all just sharing great stuff. And we're not even in season yet, right? And we're talking about just the many great things that are happening and in preparation. I think that's one of the big things that we like to highlight is, these events are several weeks away still, but yet the planning starts for them 6 months out usually. Or they start right after they end, almost, or right after the regular season ends. And so it's a process, right? So whether you're a coach, a parent, or a student athlete and participating in it, you don't just show up and an event happens, right? So the parents that are involved, thank you, the volunteers, the booster clubs, the sponsors, right? To make it all happen and to keep costs down, the sponsors become vital. Thoughts on that, Coach?
Yeah, that's very, like I said, very important to have all that support. Like I said, it really is the logistics, making sure this runs smooth, from organizing the schedules for the games, the referees. Sometimes they have catering for for their guests, like for the
Right.
the refs and for the coaches and even the scout, the college scouts too. So it's a lot of hard work, it's a lot of dedication, but it just shows how the parents here really want this to succeed for the players and so forth, because like I said, you want to have a good showing for this. That way you can kind of continue this. More opportunities, like I said, from here and beyond for those players.
Yeah, I agree. All right, buddy. It is the moment of truth. Are you ready for the to unveil the preseason? We're doing things a little differently, kind of unleashing a preseason RPI. And you ready for it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, no, man, we're too low. Why aren't we on there? Oh, all of it. It's all coming. But the big thing,
it was tough.
Right. Before we unleash this, right, it's very important. This is not your prototypical rankings, ratings, power ranking system, whatever you want to call it, standings, whatever you want to call it, because this is not a region. This is at the state level, obviously, but this isn't even within a classification. We factor in all classifications. Rafa compiles, does his data, obviously factors in a number of things, number of data points as well, conversations with coaches, what we know is coming back. But what makes this one unique that I really like, that I think is really cool, is we put 4A, 5A, and 6A, and we mix them all in a bag together, and it's kind of on a pound for pound system, if you will. And we factor all these things in, and we try to give love to the 4As of the world. It can't just be all 6As. But no, I mean, it's not hey, let's just throw a bone to a 4A and throw a 4A in here. These are quality programs based on merit, and I can tell you for a fact that Rafa does his homework on these. So, all right, here we go. We are going to unleash. We're going to start with the girls. The first edition of the 2024-2025 RPI, the Rafa Power Index with today's date. So we're going to start with our first five here. Rafa, let's cover these first five. Tell us your thoughts on these first five.
Your first five are your part of your usual suspects year in and year out. I mean, this was tough trying to who was number one. I know last year I had Salina number one. This year, I mean, I think what I gave Prosper the edge for what they did last year. They beat some quality teams to grind it out to get to finally, like I said, they got that monkey off their back and finally got the hardware. So like I said, that's how I kind of gave Prosper the edge on that. But hey, Salina 3 in a row. Who's to say that they don't get number 4? I think they'll probably be the first team, I think, to win 4 in a row. So, and like I said, until someone takes them down, like I said, they're going to be out there. Plus, Salina, they do challenge themselves. They don't,
excuse me.
They don't shy away from playing some of these, and they'll play some of these teams in their backyard, and they've beaten a few too. So I gave Salina the number 2 spot. Frisco Wakeline, what can you say about them? Great season last year, and I think they're up for another great season here.
Oh, yeah.
I think they have a really good shot at defending their title. And then number 4 was a sleeper last year, and it surprised everybody.
The eyebrow raiser, right? Austin Westlake. Yeah,
Austin Westlake. And the thing is this: they were very young last year.
Right.
Now they have an experienced team this year, and they just fell one game short. But it was a great game with Prosper. Is this the year they finally, we get to dance, after the final and lift that trophy, and like I said, I have them number 4, and then number 5, like I said, I have Flowermont. What do you can say about Flowermont? I mean, year in, year out, they're one of the best, not only in the Metroplex, but also in the state of Texas.
Yeah. Great stuff. I think from, looking at all of these, had a great conversation with a couple of these coaches. I mean, you can intermix these all day, right? But I think Dynamite top 5, Dynamite very, very much a Dynamite top 3 for sure. All returning champions in their respective classifications. But yeah, I just think, man, El Cucuy, talking with Jimmy Langford as well at Frisco Wakeland, they are going to be extremely tough to take down this year. Extremely tough, because just like what you mentioned with Westlake, he had a young squad that was still figuring things out last year, and they get all the way they do what Westlake does, or what Wakeland does, and they get all the way to the final and win it. And he returns the overwhelming bulk plus what he's reloaded with. And then the same thing, Coach Adams at Salina, right? He's got some younger talent coming in, right? They're going to be young in certain parts, but still extremely talented, right? So, yeah, I think. And then of course Prosper was so happy, so proud to see them break through last year, and Coach returned the bulk of his talent as well. So, I mean, that's just that region, right? That region's going to be incredible. All right, take us through 6 through 10, Coach.
So 6, I have South Lake Carroll. I mean, what do you say about them? They had another incredible run last year. They had a little classic with Prosper. That was back and forth that game, but I'm sure, like I said, they're going to be reloaded, refocused, and I'm sure they'll have another Fuller on that team that wants to, continue on that legacy and finally get back to the title game. And Seven Lakes, a big, what they did last year, like I said, I kind of consider them the top team in the Houston area. I think they're going to be well prepared, and I wouldn't be surprised you see them again, especially with this different format in the playoffs, we could see them in the final again. Mm-hmm. Colleyville Heritage, another perennial power. What do you say? Like I say, they always bring it every year, and like I said, when you mention them, they're always proud in the state tournament. Number 9, Flower Marcus, another one. Like I said, kind of like the trilogy there with Flower Marcus, Flower Mountain, and even Capel too. That's just a dogfight there in that district, and like I said, those teams are always well prepared. And then number 10, Grapevine too. Like I said, Grapevine's always has a great program, and they always, like I said, they've built a really good reputation there. So you can kind of see a certain area of the state that's really kind of dominated the top 10 there. It's just because, as I said, it's just the quality of play, but the quality of players that they have there. It's I mean, like I said, any of those 10 could be have won or been to a state championship game. That's just how good the top 10 list right there is.
Yeah, and there's something to be said where a South Lake at 6 can almost look low, right? Just because given their pedigree, but of course they're I think is this the year that they get back to the top. Katy Seven Lakes has been coming on strong out of the Houston area. I agree with you, but the schools really that I want to highlight in the 6 through 10 really are the 5As, right? Because just a tremendous amount of respect for Colleyville Heritage and Grapevine, just two of the schools that are just they're institutions at the 5A level when it comes to being in the mix in their, not just their districts or their region, but at the state level, right? They just so consistent, they're in and so hard to beat, right? So just extremely consistent, well coached, great talent, and of course Grapevine having won a state title the year before last as well. So yeah, just kudos to them. All right, take us away. So the final 15 here, 11 through 15.
So number 11, I have a team that's on the rise, and they challenged Salina last year. They did get a win. Is the Frisco Panther Creek. Mm-hmm. Depending on which division they play in as far as playoffs, and like we mentioned before, we could have 2 district champions from the same district. We could see a scenario with Panther Creek and Salina being state champions. And just depend. Like I said, we're going to depend if they were in Division 1, Division 2. So, but keep an eye on Panther Creek. I think, like I said, that team on the rise. I'm sure definitely they will challenge Salina for their district title. Rockwall is, like I said, they're another team in the Dallas area. I know they don't get as much talked about, but they've slowly, surely built a great program there. And like I said, you can't take them lightly. And I won't, like I said, they always usually make a deep run. Another 13, Pflugerville Hendrickson, kind of out from our back, a little outside the backyard there. They had a great run last year, and I think they're going to have another great run this year. I know it wasn't that tough Region 3, but they were able to get through. Another one that's from that same yard is Georgetown. I know Georgetown had a good run a couple years ago. A little falter a little bit, but hey, I think they're going to be reloaded again. And like I said, I think that you could see them back in their backyard, in the final. So I won't be surprised if they represent Region 3. And then last, Wiley East, another kind of the same thing with Rockwell. They've really kind of built a real good program as well. Like I said, they're getting into the mix, and it just shows, like I said, the Metroplex area is kind of becoming that mecca area for especially with girls soccer too.
Right.
A lot of the talents coming there.
Yeah. And, in 11, when I look at 11 through 15, there are two in particular that I want to highlight. I think, well, first of all, I think, Frisco Panther Creek, I think is going to wreak havoc in 4A, kind of change some things along the way. But the two I want to highlight are, again, it's Rockwall, a school, a program, very consistent. And, it was just state tournament not too long ago. And they just very consistent. And I feel like does not always get the love that they probably should, right? So happy to see them there in your top 15. And then Georgetown, Coach Venegas, I think very high on the squad, not just recently at state. And I think, could this be the year that they can go all the way and win it all, right? And win it all. Obviously, the thing we don't know for 100% is what their paths will look like given the new Division I, Division II format, right? That will change some things, right? But yeah, very excited to see what that looks like. So those are our top 15 of the initial girls RPI. And then what we do is we look at what would be our projected next 5 in. Go ahead, tell us about those, Coach.
So yeah, the next 5 in looks like they were. I mean, this was a very difficult list. I think the girls list was a lot tougher than the boys, and I mean, you have so many quality teams. And so my next 5, I have Fort Bend, Ridge Point. Like I said, they've been probably one of the most consistent, besides Seven Lakes. They've been one of the most consistent programs there in the Houston area. And like I said, are they also in the collision course against Seven Lakes? Depending on the region. Like I said, it's as far as depending on the division. We'll see that. Another great team is Frisco Reedy. I know Wakeland gets the accolades here, but Reedy made a great run last year, and who's to say they don't do it again this year? So keep an eye on them. Leander Rouse, great program. They had a great year last year. I think they have a good talent to come back. Get to that state tournament game. Another program is Lumberton. Lumberton out of East Texas. East Texas is not really known for soccer, but Lumberton's kind of put kind of put like I said, they've put East Texas on the map, from what they've done year in and year out. So keep an eye on them. I mean, and depending on the draw, as far as like I said, Division goes too, maybe it could be the year that maybe they avoid Salina and they end up lifting the trophy with their Division I, Division II. And then another team that I expect to do a lot of great things is Davenport back here in the backyard here in San Antonio. I think that this is their year to dominate Region 4 for 4A. Like I said, I think they have a great opportunity to finally break through, get to the state semifinal, and maybe even get to the final.
Yeah, the 4As here, I think, are something to take note on. Just Lumberton, extremely consistent over just a program I've really grown to respect, right? How they just go about things. And then, Davenport, right? You look at Davenport, will this be the year that they really, truly break through into the next level with, oh, by the way, Bernie, they don't have to worry about the obstacle that is the Bernie Greyhounds anymore. So, and that not to say that they couldn't have before, but I think we get the impression, you get the feeling that all things are kind of lining up for them to make that run where they can break through to a state semifinal, maybe to a state final this year. There is no traditional state tournament as we know it before. The state tournament will now be exclusively finals, so it will look very differently. But yeah, I agree with you. Could this be the year that Davenport can break through? So, all right, that does it for our top 15 plus our next 5 in. And then, in addition, because Rafa is such a nice guy, he wanted to highlight some additional honorable mentions, right? An additional 5. Take it away, Coach.
Yeah, so honorable mentions, like I said, Port Neches Groves, great run last year. Another team out in East Texas that will probably going to surprise, make it. Like I said, I think they have a chance. Maybe if they can get things together early on, kind of get in the rhythm. I wouldn't be surprised if we could see them in Georgetown. The surprise of the year last year was Waxahachie Life, just under the radar. Like no. I know that I didn't really have them in my list until kind of maybe towards the end. And I mean, what a run they had last year. And, can they repeat it again this year? Like I said, we'll wait and see. Number 3, Lake Travis, for the girls' side. I think this year, I think they have the tools to make a deep run here in Region 4. Another great program who had a little off year last year, disappointing because they lost the first round. But I think they have big things coming up. Is the Smithson Valley Lady Rangers, but they're now in a very tough district. I hear about I call it kind of the group of death. But in Smithson Valley, they're going to be ready to play. They're going to have some. I think they'll be battle tested because of that district. They got Piper. They got New Braunfels. They got Alamo Heights, Bernie Champion. So it's going to be great. Great seeing some of those games. And then another one that's probably also under the radar, but I think they're going to make some noise this year. It'll be Highland Park. I think Highland Park's going to make some noise, and they're in the Dallas area.
Yeah, I think this is an exceptional group just because some interesting storylines here, right? You talk about PNG and, their coaching staff was able to see them run into them. They were a great, lively group out at Tasco, very animated as well. So a lot of great energy from them. I think they're one to watch for sure. I mean, Waxahachie Life think kind of stole the show last year, surprised a lot of people. And Lake Travis, Will Maloney, he's going to have them ready. I think really expect big things from them this year. You look at the Smithson Valley Rangers, and I just, I was telling a friend yesterday about one of their scrimmage because they scrimmaged O'Connor yesterday. And I said, you don't bet against a Jason Atkins coach squad. They're just so well prepared, so well coached, and just the culture that he's built there. It's a machine, right? It's a machine. So yeah, they look for them to do big things. Yeah, they may be in that group of death, right? In 26 5A, but
yep.
I think it's they are looking very strong. And then the other piece is yes, Highland Park is back in 5A, right? I think a lot of people keep forgetting that. So look for them to do great things, big things this year as well. All right, that is going to do it for the girls' side, and now we shift over to the boys' side. Coach, take it away. First 5.
So the first 5 boys. Number 1, you got to give it to Seven Lakes. I mean, back-to-back state titles. Can they get the third one? Be that first team and to get the third title? I think they have the talent to do it. I know they were in a slobber knocker last year with Katie Jordan. they took them to the limit, and then also that game versus Duncanville. That was a great game. But Katy Seven Lakes, like I said, I think they're going to be probably, like I said, your favorite for 6A. Number 2, Midlothian. What can you say about Midlothian? They knocked off the Kukui. They stood up to them, and
they shocked me.
I think they shocked a lot of people. They and I think they really proved themselves that they're a program, that's is a staple there in that Metroplex area, especially here in 5A. So I expect the good things for them. Number 3, San Elizario. Look what they did last year. A great run, and I expect them to make another great run. They have the talent, and I think the experience. They just built such a great program. Like I said, the El Paso area doesn't get much love out there, but I think San Elizario really kind of taken the torch on that. I know Del Valle and Bel Air also, like I said, they've been very influential because they've won state titles, but San Elizario is really kind of now, kind of has that torch there, that El Paso area to show, hey, we're becoming that premier program. But then number 4, I mean, I can't exclude them there, El Cucuy. This might be like a Freddie's.
They don't go away, dude. They don't go away.
There might be Freddie's revenge here this year. So, and I'm sure that they're gonna that sour note that they lost in that final. I mean, I'm sure that taste is not good, and
right.
But they're gonna be ready. You know, when you count them out, that's when they get you. And like I said, I think they're up for some good things here. And then, what do you say about Duncanville last year? That golazo, the golazo of the year,
goal of the year, yeah.
and that just
ESPN number 1, top 10 number 1, yeah.
And that just propelled them, you know, to make that run to the, you know, into state. And actually, believe it or not, a few weeks ago, I saw some kids from when it was club soccer. They were from the Duncanville or playing, and I talked to them. They do play on the Duncanville high school team, and just watching them play, they might be reloading again this year, and they may make another deep run. So keep an eye on them. Like I said, don't sleep on them. I think they can have a repeat performance what they did.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a fun season there at Duncanville.
Yeah, these first 5, interesting. You know, I think, you know, Seven Lakes, you know, Coach Kruger's he's figuring out what he has there this year after 2 incredible years. But yeah, they still have experience. They're, you know, they've got the pride and that heart of a champion. And until someone knocks them off, that, you know, they're the defending state champion. So I think we're going to still see a lot of great stuff from them. Coach Guest at Midlothian, Austin Guest, is going to have them primed now that they won their first ever state title. They're going to want more. They got a taste, right? So look for them to do great things. And then, you know, you talked about Max Sappenfield out at Sanelli and what he's built there. Great program, great culture. These are just all staples, right? You look at these first 4, just great cultures. Duncanville has been evolving, but yeah, I mean, I'm not going to spend too much time on Wakeland. We've talked so much about them, but yeah, they're just an absolute machine. So not surprised to see them whatsoever. They're amazing. Just, you know, one of the most fascinating things to see with Wakeland is just both boys and girls programs is, you know, as a coach, you coach these teams that are your programs are your players, I should say, they're same ages, right? 14 to about 17, 18 years old. So sometimes that comes with waves of ups and downs, right? Good days and bad days, good games and bad games. But with Wakeland, the most fascinating thing is you get the same thing day in and day out, right? You get the exact same level, so which is just fascinating. So, all right, Coach, next we'll go next 10, 6 through 10, or next 5.
So so the next 5, but number 6, another staple for the Dallas area is Flower Mound. You know, like I said, former state champion. I expect them great things from them this year. Like I said, they'll be in some dogfights coming up in that Metroplex, especially in the district play. Number 7, Austin Vandegrift. I know Coach Bamble talked about them as far as, you know, as far as their program a bit. And Austin Vandegrift, what a great run they made last year. I think, like I said, they kind of flew on the radar. There were some favorites here in Region 4. We kind of thought maybe it'd be Johnson. Maybe we thought, could it be, like I said, Druid Springs or like Travis or one of the Valley teams? But Vandegrift, like I said, the way they played last year, like I said, I had the pleasure of seeing them play twice. They're on it, and can they repeat again this year? We'll see how much they lost as far as graduation, but I think, like I said, they've really established themselves as that other. I know Dripping Springs, like Travis, Austin West, they kind of get the attention there for 6A Austin soccer, but I think Vandegrift is they're kind of making that fourth horseman there, for that area. Another team that kind of under radar that really established them was that Rosenberg Terry team. They made a deep run last year. I expect them to do another one this year. Number 9, I have the Prosper Boys. Can the Prosper Boys do what the girls did last year? They've been kind of knocking on the door. They have the talent, but like I said, is this the year they kind of piece it together and finally get to Georgetown? And then number 10, one of the Fort Valley staples as far as the Brownsville Porter, like I said, year in, year out. They're one of the favorites here for for 5A Region 4. I know things got a little bit tougher now because now that Rivera's dropped down to 5A, it's going to make things interesting. You know, that 32 5A, which I did talk to, like I said, Rivera yesterday's coaches, that they have 18 district games, so it's going to be a dogfight down there. But like I said, Porter, like I said, you're definitely going to see them make a deep run in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm not going to call it hype, but just a lot of big praise coming out of, even more so than usual this early, coming out of the Valley, right? And coming out of with the Brownsville programs in particular. So yeah, with Rivera dropping down to 5A as well, it's going to be some fun stuff for sure. All right, that will take us through the top 10, I should say. Let's round out the last 5 of our 15, 11 through 15. Coach, take it away.
So 11, I have the Woodlands. Like I said, they're one of those. Like I said, they're a very established team. They're in the Houston area year in, year out. So like I said, they're a state caliber team. They struggled a little bit early on, but then they got hot towards the end. And like I said, they had a good run in the playoffs. So I expect them the same thing. Kilgore's for 4A. They're in East Texas. They've built a great program. I know Palestine gets the accolades in that area, but I think Kilgore's starting to sneak up on them. And then maybe try to be that equal there, and who's kind of be who's going to be now the king of the hill for 4A in East Texas soccer for boys. So keep an eye on them. El Paso Bel Air, like I said, I think they're going to do some good things this year. I think they'll make another run. I know Jesse mentioned you could say he had them in his top 5 list there. Another team that what can you say about Navasota? Great run, just fell a game short against San Elizario, but that was a back and forth game too. And I think Navasota is on the brink to really establish themselves to become that soccer power for 4A there, and also in East Texas. And 15, I had the pleasure to see them last night. Great game versus Rivera, San Antonio Southwest. They got a lot coming back. Is this the year? And I talked to Coach this year. I know he says I could kind of bust him a little bit here and there about the schedule, but scheduling the games they have, he's trying to get them prepared for that run. And I think so. They have the players this year, and they've been close. They've been they got into the regionals. Is this a year? Maybe like as we did discuss, like as far as the pathway. It's a Division 1 or Division 2. Is this the year that they finally break through, get to the state semifinal, and maybe even get to the state championship? So, like I said, very talented team, and it's going to be fun watching them again this year.
Yeah, excited to see the stuff coming out of. I would agree of this group, that the group that I'm very big on, that I want to see what they do and highlight. San Antonio Southwest, right? They've been a staple in that district. What is now 28 5A. They've been a staple in that district for the last decade, right? So excited to see what they do. And Harry's extremely disappointed in your top 20 here, Coach. So just FYI. So all right. So that does it for our top 15 that are in for the inaugural boys RPI for the 2024-2025 season. And now we get to what would be our next 5 in. Coach, take it away.
So the next 5 in, I have Walnut Grove, one of the newest programs because they're from the Prosper area. They had a great season last year, and I've been hearing little rumbles about them and say, "Hey, keep an eye on them. Keep an eye on them. They may surprise some teams, and they may knock off some of the big teams there for 5A in the playoffs. So keep an eye on them." Panther Creek boys. I know the girls have been they've got the little spotlight, but the boys, like I said, I think they've very established themselves. I think they do a lot of the great things there in Region 2. 3, Katie Jordan. What do you can say about Katie Jordan? They took 7 Lakes to the limit last year, and I expect them, to give them a run for their money again. Maybe challenger for that district title. Number 4, I have A&M Consolidated, another team that's not known as far as the last couple of years, but slowly but surely they've really kind of built something great there. They'll be a team to watch in Region 3, and then 5, I have Palestine. Like I said, Palestine year in, year out. They've been that staple in the East Texas area. Now they have, like I said, a little challenger with Kilgore. See who's going to reign supreme there. But like I said, don't count out Palestine. Like I said, they have something special there, and we'll see what they do. If they can get it together and make another run.
Yeah, this is an interesting group here because Katie Jordan, right? Is this the year that they can take the throne over, right? Versus Seven Lakes, do they have the pieces in place? Are they ready for that? How do they match up? Can they get over that hurdle? A&M consolidated extremely well, very well coached, very consistent. Looking for them, can they make that next big leap? And then same thing with Palestine, right? Is at the 4A level. Can they break through, right? Can they really break through, take that next big giant step, right? 4A, yeah, you mentioned Kilgore, but then there are also others that are no longer 4A, right? That have moved up to 5A that kind of clear that path a little bit. But then, yeah, what complicates the issues a little bit is they may kind of have an inkling right within their program how they measure up in their district, but no one 100% knows, are they going to go division 1, are they going to go division 2? And more important, it may be easy to say what you think your program what direction they may go as far as division, but you don't 100% know what that pathway is going to look like, right? So interesting, something of note. So that does it for our top 20. And now we'll take it over again because Rafa was feeling extra nice, wanted to throw in an additional 5 our honorable mentions. Take it away, Coach.
Oh, those were the 5 honorable mentions there.
Oh, did I not? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Never mind. So, yeah, I missed that. I guess I missed that on that one. So, okay, never mind. I guess he wasn't feeling that extra nice. All right, so that does it for our RPI for both the boys and girls, and the last piece, right? One of my favorite parts of our show here, what we do in when we first launch Inside Texas High School Soccer, we kind of stumbled across this by accident as well. But one of the things that we like to do is our champions review, where we look at last year's champions, and then we kind of dissect them briefly, and we just kind of look at how they measure up, who's returning, their districts with the data that we have, and which ones of these are maybe how do we feel about them individually, who's maybe the least likely, who's the most likely to repeat, and then who would we quote unquote put our money on if we were betting men. So all right, Coach, we'll start with 4A. Thoughts on both Salina and Panelli?
Now that we have Division 1 and Division 2, it's gonna be. Well, I'm gonna say this: Salina, I think they get the 3-peat. I mean the 4-peat.
The 4-peat, yeah.
They get the 4-peat. I just don't see anybody challenging them unless so a team from the same district challenges them in that regional final. Maybe Panther Creek. Maybe they have to see them again. But like I said, do they run into like a Lumberton or maybe a Salado or Bay City? Those are some quality teams there. Or Stephenville, or even like the ladies from San Eli themselves too. It's going to be interesting as far as the pathway. But I think Salina will repeat. As far as San Eli, I think kind of same scenario. If they end up in Division 2, I think they should have no issues getting back to Georgetown. But as far as the safest bet out of the 4, I think Salina is going to probably end up repeating.
Yeah. This is it's an interesting one in talking with Coach Adams because they are definitely reloaded. They may be young in certain spots, but it's high level talent, very well coached, great program, great culture, and that is just the expectation now, right? Is arrive to Georgetown and win. It's Georgetown or bust. San Eli, great pedigree on the boys' side, but yeah, I think between these two, and obviously if you're looking at this, there is an asterisk next to both Salina and Katy Seven Lakes that just denotes that represents they are a defending back-to-back state champion, or in Salina's case, a 3-peat. So very interesting here. And just as you mentioned, what's interesting with this in our champions review and how we look at these is this will be the last time that we see it in this format, right? Because of the Division 1, Division 2 format, it will start to look very different where this will double in size and it'll go from 6 state champions to 12, right? So how that is really reshaping the landscape of our sport here in the state of Texas is pretty fascinating, pretty interesting. So, all right, we move on to 5A. Go ahead, Coach.
So 5A, like I said, Frisco Wakeland. I could literally see them getting back in it, but like I said, they have to maybe possibly cross paths with Colleyville Heritage, Grapevine, um, maybe a One Up Grove, one of the another Frisco team, Reedy, Reedy or Lone Star. So it's gonna depend. Like I mentioned back to, we can go back to is what division do you land on? As far as Midlothian's case, uh, it's like I say, it's gonna be tough coming on that region too. I think there's some quality teams there. Um, but I think they'll make another deep run. I think the best, I guess, if who out of the two who has the best chance of maybe repeating would probably be Frisco Wakeland for 5A.
Yeah, I think when we talk about this, and as we get further and further into our episodes of Inside Texas High School Soccer, once the playoffs arrive, and then of course once we start getting into kind of the regional rounds and on, the one thing that becomes evident is you have to have the talent, you have to have the coaching, you have to have, the pedigree, and that experience helps, but somewhere along the way, the ball has to bounce your way, right? Any on one given, because when you look at these state championship runs from a lot of these programs, somewhere in there, they inevitably they experience adversity, right? And they get tested somewhere in there in some way, shape, or form, right? Maybe it's a bad start, a slow start, an injury, what have you, just a series of bad calls, something, right? Or just struggling. Maybe just a series of players are just having a bad game to start with. But then something changes. Something has to go your way along the way, so that we call it luck, but I think it's just, just when certain things just happen, right? And you can't, as a coach, you can only prepare for them for so much and have your kids ready for them. But sometimes things go your way, right? And it's hard to explain, but when you're prepared and you've put in that hard work, and that moment of adversity hits and that opportunity presents itself, sometimes things go your way and you can cash in on that. So very important to highlight that. But yeah, you talk about Frisco Wakeland and Midlothian for both the men's and women's 5A. And yeah, I mean, just Wakeland, I've talked about them plenty. Midlothian is an interesting watch, right? Because they get that monkey off their back. They win a state title. How do they respond now? I don't get the impression a Austin Guest coached squad is not going to be, I think, satisfied, is not going to kind of take their foot off the pedal, right? So, but they will be interesting to watch from the standpoint of not only their district, but the matchups in the state playoffs for sure. So, all right, and we go to our last two. Both we go to 6A. Take it away, Coach.
Yeah, so 6A, this is going to be tricky here because kind of looking at their enrollment numbers. I think if both teams, like I said, both Prosper Girls and the St. Luke's boys make the playoffs, they're more likely going to end up going to Division One. And an interesting note that even Coach Battle mentioned that I think the last time we spoke to him, he mentioned about the playoffs as a scenario that they may end up playing some of like the tougher teams like Round Rock and I think Vandergrift. And this is, I think the Division 1 6A is probably going to have a lot of your powerhouses. Your teams are in and out. So the road's probably going to be a lot more difficult because you're going to have to be on your A game every single game in the playoffs. But I think like with Region 3 with Seven Lakes, I've not seen anybody that can probably challenge them yet. Maybe, like I said, like I know Jordan took them to the limit. We'll see who this year. I think Prosper has a lot tougher road because you do have teams, like I said, you have like Flower Mound, you got South Lake Carroll. I mean, it's inevitable they're going to play against each other, and who knows as far as the result, how the result's going to be. So I'm gonna this one, as far as the repeat out of the two, I'm gonna give the edge. This one to Seven Lakes.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. I think, I don't know. When I look at these two, I kind of like what I'm seeing. What Prosper return. Yeah. I mean, it's tough because what the road awaits for Prosper, right? But just based upon what they're so battle tested through all the years where they came up short, breakthrough. They bring so much talent back. But yeah, I think I like I do get a good vibe, good feeling from Prosper, but we'll see. And like I said, Katy Seven Lakes, I mean, they're the 2-time defending state champion until someone knocks them off. So, and they're not, a Jimmy Kruger led squad. They're not going to just give that up, right? You're going to have to take it from them. So, yeah. Now, here's the question, though, as we start to wrap up here. We look at these 6 state champions, right? If you had to go all in on one, who would you put it all on the line for as to repeat as state champion?
I got to go to the Salina girls.
Nice.
I mean, they're the gold standard when it comes to, not only 4A soccer, but I think even the state of Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, Coach he's built a great program there, and they don't rebuild, they reload. And even even those freshmen that come in, they're a high level freshmen that you can plug them in the varsity level, and they don't miss a beat. So, and there's very few programs around the state of Texas that can actually do that. Maybe like I said, maybe Prosper has that too. Maybe it's like Seven Lakes, but Salina's probably the one that really gets a lot of that. Could we'll put her in. She puts 30. Brandy striker. She'll probably put 30 goals in the 30, 40 goals in the season as a freshman. Yeah. So, or you have a great goalkeeper that has a lot of clean sheets. So I think that's probably my sure bet will be the Salina girls getting that 4th ring.
Mm. And for me, I think if I had to pick one of these 6, all great, great exclusive company, obviously. But if I had to go all in on one, it's give me El Cucuy, man. Give me El Cucuy. I'm going to go Frisco Wakeland. I just think with what Jimmy Langford has this year, what he's obviously the culture of the program is just absolutely second to none, right? Just across just sustained excellence. You look at just the legacy of the program, what he has this year coming back, plus what he's gaining. I just think a tough district, obviously, no doubt. But I mean, can you point to any of these state champions that play in an easy district? So when I look at it from that perspective, I just think with what Frisco Wakeland is going to be a extremely tall task for anybody in 5A this year. Almost along the lines of where maybe a South Lake Carroll was a couple of years ago, right? So, but yeah, very high on them this year. I think Jimmy, even by Wakeland standards, Jimmy Langford might have a special squad this year out at Wakeland. So, and that's saying something. But that is going to do it, man. We come back shortly. We're going to wrap up. I know our final thoughts, but before we go, we're going to send a quick word here from our partners. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We're thrilled to tell you about our world-class partners, AR Shots, your go-to destination for exceptional photography experiences in San Antonio and across all of Texas. As a seasoned professional and published photographer, Alonso Ramirez specializes in capturing the essence of your most memorable moments. From dynamic team media days and live-action game days to heartwarming family gatherings and elegant senior portraits, he makes every shot count. What sets him apart? His unwavering commitment to deliver the best customer service in the Lone Star State. With major international and professional sports event experience, AR Shots' work speaks for itself. He is dedicated to making your photography experience straightforward and enjoyable. So why settle for ordinary when you can experience extraordinary with AR Shots? Contact him today so he can turn your vision into a stunning reality. Check him out at arshots.net as well as on X and Instagram at ARShots. Looking to step up your social media marketing game? Well, let us tell you about our great friends at Gipper. Gipper is a way that schools, athletic departments, ADs, and coaches create world-class marketing content. Join over 4,000 coaches, ADs, SIDs, and club directors who use Gipper to create high-quality visual branded graphics for your program. The best part? Anyone can do it in seconds on any device without needing any design experience whatsoever. If you do have significant design experience, you're going to love this as well, as you are what they call the power user, and this is designed with you in mind as well. And just for being a listener and supporter of the 50/50 podcast, you can receive savings immediately and save 10% off any first-time Gipper purchase. Simply visit gipper.com/partner/5050 to learn more. Again, that's gipper.com/partner/5050. And then there are our great friends at Global Scarves. Both Bill and Kyle, they are the top providers of custom knitted scarves, beanies, and other fan merchandise in the U.S. All merch is fully custom with free design services and free shipping on all orders. They do so much more, guys, than just scarves. Blankets, beanies, you name it. It's all designed and all customized to your specifications and needs. You can contact them at info@globalscarves.com to get any free designs or quotes built out for your school, club, or maybe even a supporters group. Simply mention the podcast or use the code #5050pod and they will be sure to take care of it. That beat gets me every time, man. I'm still jamming out to it. Awesome. Well, welcome back. As we start wrapping up here, great show, absolutely loaded show. Want to thank all of our guests again, from Jesse Tovar, Prep One out in the borderland, out in El Paso, for joining us, giving us his top 10 of both the boys and girls out there, as well as highlighting some Prep One athletes who are killing it out there. And then Ricardo Guzman from the Allen Eagles Soccer Booster Club, and highlighting their showcase, telling us a lot more about that. And then Coach David Bammel, the head men's soccer coach of the Lake Travis Cavaliers and the tournament director of the Austin Lakes Elite Showcase, telling us a lot more, giving us a little bit more background as to how they go about selection and divvying up that, what do you say, group of 32, I think is what he said.
32.
Right? Special thanks to all of our guests. But Rafa, it's that time, man. Stoppage time. Let's wrap up. Let's get out of here. Final thoughts, shout outs, anything? What do you got?
Yeah, just shout out to, with all the teams, first game, first scrimmage under the belt, just like I said, it's the learning process, what you have, what you can do. It's these games, these scrimmages are made to give everybody opportunity to see what they can do on the field and what tactics you can use, what you need to improve on. But the main thing is to staying healthy, staying safe, and like I said, and be ready to go, because like I said, the first games in a couple weeks, the first official games in a couple weeks, and we were looking forward for some of those great tournaments and showcases that first week. There's some big ones around the state of Texas that we're looking forward to see, like the North Texas Elite Showcase. That one's always a good one every year in, year out. They bring a lot of talent there. The I-10 shootout. Like I said, here in San Antonio, we have the Northeast, North Side showcase. So it should be fun.
Yeah. Big shout out to special thanks to Victor Valle, Coach Valle out at Franklin. Appreciate them for the shout out. So I think that was all of your final thoughts, right? You didn't have anything else, Coach?
Yeah, just final before that, final thoughts. Like I said, just
I wanted to make sure.
So just like I said, we look forward to seeing more scrimmages, and like I said, we'll be ready to go for the season. And also, like I said, just a shout out. Also, I'm also on the San Antonio Soccer Roundtable. We'll have an episode on Monday. We're previewing the San Antonio area's 5A districts and some taps. And
there we go.
And we'll have some special guests. I think I know one in particular that's, I think, hopefully will be on. And
dude's a jerk, absolute jerk. So, yeah.
And then hopefully we'll also have the coach from Jay on too. So like I said, we got to talk to him today.
I wasn't talking about him. I wasn't talking about him.
No.
I wasn't talking about him.
So it should be fun. Like I said, fun episode with Harry. Like I said, so come check us out. If you don't follow us, like I said, we're on there. You can watch us on YouTube and also on Facebook. We have that.
Yeah. And where can they find you, Coach? Drop your handles. Where can they get more info on the roundtable?
So for the roundtable, so if you're into like the San Antonio area, South Texas area, just follow us on X for San Antonio Soccer Roundtable. Same thing on Facebook, also on YouTube. We have a channel there too. You can watch our podcasts on there weekly. I will have an RPI too for the San Antonio area. I haven't released it yet, so I'm kind of waiting a little bit on that one. Maybe some games first. Like I said, this one was a tough one for the state one, but I'll share this. I don't know. Maybe Harry will get his wish. Maybe he'll see Jay in this San Antonio list. But but like I said, just come check us out and give us a like. Give us a follow. Like I said, we'll do a lot of fun stuff on there, and I do have hopefully something planned that I'm working on that hopefully I can get it. Hopefully it can come to fruition. It's going to be fun. It's going to knock the sock offs for San Antonio, but I look forward to hopefully getting it launched soon.
Yeah. Some big stuff in the works, guys, especially if you are in the greater San Antonio area, some big stuff in the works. So make sure you are following the roundtable, San Antonio Soccer Roundtable, closely, because they're doing great things. Rafa working some things behind the scenes. I really do hope it comes to fruition, because I think, excuse me, I think it has a chance to kind of be a game changer for just an added incentivized, just, I don't know, value, if you will, I guess, for lack of better words, for programs in the greater San Antonio area. And has the potential to take on a life of its own across the state, maybe. So we'll see. But very excited to see how that goes as well. But yeah, I think the roundtable. So you said you're going to have Monday and Wednesday, or is it just? Are you thinking Monday next show?
I think for sure Monday will be about 8:30 after 8 o'clock. We'll have, like I said, our preview for 5A. We're going to go up to the districts, kind of give a little scenarios who we think maybe the top 4 teams will make the playoffs. And then, like I said, we'll have a couple guests, coaches talk to us about the upcoming season, and also maybe some recaps as far as, because TAPS is underway. Like I said, we did some recaps for some of the games already, and I'm sure, like I said, some are already in district play too. Like I mentioned, like Central Catholic, and we mentioned some of the teams in the Austin TAPS area, the TAPS teams in Austin, Houston. So we'll go over that as well.
Yeah, and shout out to Coach Eric Alonso as well, who's just recently joined us on the podcast at the convention. The head women's soccer coach of the Irving MacArthur Cardinals, who beautifully re-landscaped his wall in his office today. So if you get a chance, go check him out. He put up a great picture. So awesome. Thanks for doing that, Coach. Really appreciate you. All our guests joining us today, thank you. And again, for those involved on the chat and everything, Jasmine Guerrero as well. Great to see you back. We talked about you a little bit as well. So Harry, always, great supporter of the podcast, what he does over at the roundtable as well, what he does for bracketology. And then we won't mention all his great hate of Real Madrid, but we look past that. We tolerate him. So special thanks to Harry. But before we go, one of the things, main thing, really, my kind of my final thoughts is kind of a two-parter. First one, obviously, understand the role of what scrimmages are for. We're kind of in our little mini scrimmage season, and what they're about, what they're for, to grow, learn, take things away, build chemistry, all those things. So don't live and die by the results of everything that we get. It's a long season. It's a very long season. So kind of stay the course. And if you do experience some success, obviously build on that. And if you don't, hey, that's why we play them, right? To get better. So, but in the history of this game, what makes our game so great is that it can be extremely frustrating. Even the pros, it can be a struggle to be consistent, right? So just kind of day in and day out, one day at a time. So stay the course. And the other part that I kind of wanted to share is a huge thank you to everybody. Tomorrow officially marks our 4-year anniversary, and kind of pretty cool, pretty awesome to just see how far we've come. Grateful, and we owe it all to you, all of our supporters, all of our listeners, to the state of Texas. Thank you. We always say you are the reason why we do it, and it's not lip service. It's an important piece of what we feel we have to continue to share, because it functions as our true north and what helps us stay the course of why we do this. So, and it's for you all. So it doesn't matter whether you're a coach, whether you're an athlete, whether you're a parent, right? Doesn't matter. You're a college coach, right? We've interacted with so many college coaches as well, and grateful to all of you, grateful to our supporters, and then our podcast team members, from Rafa. We talked about Harry. We talked about, Steve Sanchez, Coach Steve Sanchez, as well as, Frank Court. I call him Frank Court III, but Frank Court Jr. III. And we continue to grow our correspondence. We talk about Mr. Strong out, who's done so many great things for us behind the scenes as well. Some of our graphic stuff as well. Cannot do it without him. Cannot do it as well with some of our additional correspondents who we continue to grow. We talk about Mr. Michael Merritt out in the Katy area, out in the greater Houston area. We appreciate all of you guys, all of you. So 4 years in, I've had an absolute blast. I can't believe it's been 4 years, man, to be honest. And It started in a studio, a small little studio in El Paso, right in the heart of the pandemic on December 15th. And 2020, and the fact that the podcast is even still around, I think is all 100% attributed to you all. So for our listeners, our supporters, thank you from the bottom of our heart. Thank you. My family, that's the last one. Rafa, got to thank you before I go.
Yeah,
Right.
thank you.
Everything, what this particular show has become, right, Inside Texas High School Soccer, as a spin-off series of the 50/50 podcast, as we continue to grow. Excuse me, as we continue to grow this network. It's been fascinating. It happened by accident, and we're grateful for it. And Rafa, I really appreciated the work that you put in behind it, and it's been a blast, man. So cannot do it without you. Have had so much fun, and just sometimes I wish people could film the conversations we have after the actual episodes, because the stuff that we get into is pretty phenomenal. It's pretty awesome. But thank you for that. And then my family, last but definitely not least, my daughter, who's a senior, obviously having the joy to be able to coach her, in her first scrimmage of a season this year as a senior. My squad, my girls, getting to watch them play today in a scrimmage and learn. And then, my little daughter, who's also a soccer player. And then without a doubt, the kind of heart and soul of our podcast team, my wife, who does so much behind the scenes in support of not just me, but believe it or yes, the podcast itself. She's a key contributing member of the podcast team. So I'm really grateful for her. And she has so much of a passion for watching, me do this because of my passion for it. So I'm grateful for her beyond measure. And I love her to death. I'm lucky to have her. And as Coach Bammel mentioned earlier, right, is we can't do what we do as coaches and trying to continue to grow this game without the love and support and understanding of a spouse, right? Because there's so much goes in behind the scenes for a coach. So very grateful. So you're a coach out there, make sure you give your spouse, give your significant other a big hug, a big kiss, and just simply tell them thank you, because you know how the next several months what they're going to look like. So shout out to all the coaches. Most of all, a big thank you to our coaches across the state of Texas. Really love you guys. Thank you. And to be able to be part of that coaching fraternity is just, it humbles me, and I'm grateful. And one of the last things I'll share is what I really loved. It was our third year at Tasco this year, and what I really kind of noticed and felt more this year than the previous 2 years is the level of kind of, you can see it, right? You can feel it, is the level of pride that coaches have in being Texas high school soccer coaches. Yes, they know our season is not perfect. They know the high school process, the high school soccer, the soccer landscape, what have you, in this country is not perfect, but they do not apologize for being Texas high school soccer coaches. And you see that passion, and it's awesome. I love it. So thank you to all of you for 4 years, Texas. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much. And hopefully looking forward to 4 more and growing this podcast, because as we are looking to try to evolve and grow a podcast network from here, and have others who have a passion for this that want to help us and be a part of growing this thing. So definitely on the lookout for that as well. So if you know somebody, definitely don't hesitate to reach out. So Rafa, that's going to do it, brother. Thank you so much again for everything. So for our listener supporters, you know where to find us. You can find us on Twitter X at 50_50 pod, Instagram at 50_50 podcast, as well as on YouTube at the 50_50 podcast. If you prefer to listen to the audio, which is a very big, we get tons and tons and tons of downloads on the audio podcast portion side. Wherever your podcast preferred platform is, go there, download, give us a listen, and make sure you give us a rating on there. That really helps propel us as well. Give us a rating on there. And then on YouTube, go on there, subscribe. We have a lot of listeners that listen to us regularly. They think they're subscribed, and they're not. They're actually not. So go on there, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for the live notification button, and I promise you won't miss a single thing that we do, because 99.9% of everything we do is live. So go on there. If you're not subscribed, give us a subscription, please. And then, it helps just with those algorithms. Give us a review. So really appreciate you guys. Thank you, Texas, 4 years. Really love you guys. Thank you so much. Looking forward to the next year, making it to year 5, and then hopefully another 5 years. So for Rafa, I am Coach Cano. Thank you again for everybody. You know what to do. Until the next time, keep downloading and keep listening. You've been listening to the 50/50 Podcast, powered by the 50/50 Podcast Network. Help us continue to grow by liking, rating, and subscribing on all major podcast platforms. And don't forget to follow us on X at 50_50 pod, on Instagram at 50_50 podcast, as well as on YouTube at the 50_50 podcast. Until the next time, keep downloading and keep listening.